Welcome, everyone. This is an episode of Chanel's Reality. Um, Today we're going to talk about Potomac, Season 8, Episode 1. I'm Chanel, and I'm fun. I like to talk about hot topics. I love all things reality TV. Well, let me take that back. I don't love all things reality TV, but there are some shows that I actually really like. Potomac is one of them. There's a lot of things I don't like about Potomac, but we can get into that another day, maybe on just like a hot topics type scenario. But again, Potomac season 8, episode 1 is what I'm going to recap for you here today. So I have on this jacket because we just celebrated the new year, even though we're like halfway through January. And also too, because I love a sequin, anything, okay? Any reason to put on a cocktail dress and go out to eat, I'm with it. Another thing about me too, before we get into this recap, I just feel I'm a Leo. So let's start there. So I don't necessarily love attention, but well, I like attention. I don't want to be the center of attention. So there's that. So like I don't want to be the person that walks into the event or the birthday party or whatever and everybody turns and looks at me. I prefer to be the person that's there first and I can look at everybody else, catch it. Okay. Um so because I'm a Leo, I tend to like, I'm just built for five-star hotels, uh 5-star hotels and room service. It's just who I am. I'm gonna somehow gravitate to Saks Fifth Avenue or Chanel, Gucci, Dior. It's just who I am. Nordstrom's. Who else do I like? Neiman's. I love a good outlet though. I'm not a elitist. I don't like elitists. I don't think I'm better than anyone. Um, but I do believe in being top tier. I'm not a hater. I love to see people win. If you winning, I'm gonna be like, sis, how do I win? You get yourself into some new Louboutins, red bottoms. I'm like, oh, listen, okay. I'm gonna, root for you type of person. Okay. So anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about this episode. So they open the scene with Robin putting she's moving in, they've moved into their new home, which is beautiful. I actually like Robin's home better than everybody's home all put together on Potomac. None of them have I like Candace's home. I don't necessarily love the outside. It's very traditional, Candace's home, which kind of fits into Candace's character. So I like that it's big and spacious, but I'm not in love with the look of it. But doesn't mean it's not a nice home. I would love to. I don't live in a house that big, so there's that. But the opening scene is they're filming Robin at home, and she's putting wedding photos into picture frames, which is kind of weird because so I'm sure you guys all know. So the backstory to how we get to this scene is essentially last season, Giselle made this accusation that Candace's husband, Chris, I forget his last name, but Bassett, um, asked her to go to her room, basically after the reunion and talk. And she agreed, but then she said when she got in there, he made her feel away. Now, you'll learn this from watching Chanel's reality, me being Chanel. Um, you'll realize that I am a avid defender of victims of any kind. I start with they're telling the truth, and then if somehow you can discredit their truth, I'm with that. That's where I'm going to start, just because my background is in therapy. My background is in working with children and families, working with people who have mental instabilities, mental illness, people who have IDD, on and on and on. So I work with a very vulnerable population, and therefore I'm going to be somewhat biased. And it's not because I just want to be biased, it's just because I've worked with a population that people unfortunately mistreat, and I've seen it, and I've worked against it. So I'm always going to start from the perspective of I'm going to believe the victim. And then again, I believe everybody has the right to say how they feel and claim whatever they want. Um, if something has happened, they should certainly speak up. I just have a hard time believing that people lie about sexual essay. I'm going to say it like that because I know on YouTube we can't say certain words. That being said, Giselle didn't say she didn't say he actually did something to her. And that's what the big all last season was about. them trying to have this big plot that, we're going to connect these dots that Chris Bassett, did something to Giselle. He made her feel away. And then Mia said he was staring at her at Karen's spring fling, which you gotta love the shady producers because the whole season they kept playing back Chris not staring, Chris not looking. It was so funny. But and it helped Chris's case. It helped rule out this ludicrous idea that this man is trying to get with all these women. Then you had Ashley, who is no one's friend, also bring her show entertainment friend onto the show to try to, I feel like, give credence to what Giselle was saying about how Chris is, maybe being a little flirty. And it's, to me, like I said, Candace, I mean, not Candace, but Ashley's no one's friend. And therefore, she can't be a friend to she can't be a friend to Candace. But again, this is the same lady that brought Candace on the show allegedly in the pageant world and then wrote a whole letter for Monique regarding Candace's past behavior, basically to try to discredit Candace. And I love Monique and I love Candace, but I did not like that Ashley did that because you just didn't have to do that. If it was necessary, you need to talk to Candace first. If you're really truly going to be a friend, talk to her first. But that's just not something I would do as a friend. I digress. So again, so then Candace brings this extra person who the whole internet just made fun of her. And I don't like bullying, but girl, you put yourself in this situation. You added yourself to something you didn't need to be added to. And now, you mad, your husband mad because people walking around talking about you like a Sesame Street character. It's not a good look. So that's why I can never understand. That's one of the reasons why I'm just like, Ashley is no one's friend. Um, so they did all of this to try to, in my opinion, set up Chris and make him the story instead of Juan, who was apparently paying for hotel bills for the lady in Canada. Okay, which again, how does that make sense, Robin? You really think she really thinks? I think Robin really thinks we're that stupid. I think she really thinks. I think a lot of the reality stars, they think when they think the word fan, they think of it in a derogatory tone, or yeah, they think of it as if like a fanatic, like somebody who thinks, oh, Robin's on TV, Robin's looking at me, Robin's talking to me. No, she's not. Those are fanatics. Those people that buy your shirts and buy and own everything you sell and go to all of your, like, that's more of a fanatic. We're viewers. We're people who are viewing this show. And be clear, just because we're a fan of the show does not mean we're a fan of you. Be very, very clear. We can't stand Ashley. Giselle mostly can't stand Giselle. Almost, she's just a whole other human being. Mia's tolerable, but I mean the Giselle, Mia, um, Robin on some occasions, and Ashley. They're mean girls, for lack of a better word, and they're just messy and they're just rude and they're mean girls. So I'm a fan of reality TV. You happen to be on one of the shows that I like. I like Candace. I would say I'm somewhat of a fan of Candace, but I'm usually a fan of anyone who I feel like people are trying to, step on, or a person who seems like they're trying to put in their place. And Candace ain't having it because she has the same type of attitude that I have. Don't come. Listen, what can you more say? Don't come for me unless I send for you. And Candace is going. Listen, she's gonna get the girls together. She's gonna gather them. So I don't know why they keep trying her. Again, I digress. So anyway, so they're having Robin and Juan are having this conversation about, not Robin, Juan losing his job and how they don't think it was for the reasons that were being reported about him, which are very heinous. Um, and then they talk a little bit about the girl or the lady from Canada, and Robin says something like, "Well, I wonder why didn't you, if you were already there and you're paying for this lady's hotel room, why didn't you go ahead and go through with. Basically, why didn't you either get a BJ, have sex with, whatever it is? And he's like, have you seen her? And I didn't like that because you clearly have been having a conversation with this lady for all these months. And you're just, unless you, because he sat there and said, I'll give money to homeless people on the street, $20, $50. Stop it, Juan. Stop it. I'm not saying you're not charitable, but stop it. Stop trying to mix this. This is not that, okay? You've been communicating with this lady. And we all know that it wasn't innocent. Nobody needs to have another person come and pay for their hotel room because they lost their wallet. The reason why that is, like I said, I'm made for 5-star hotels and room service. So I travel and I know what it costs to go to a nice hotel. Now I don't know if she was in a nice hotel, but before you even book the room, they need a credit card on file. So it wouldn't matter that she no longer has that credit card. They would just charge that card. She wouldn't need you to come and put that card down. The only way they would maybe not do that is if she said, "Hey, I lost my wallet," and then stopped anything with her creditor to say, "Hey, because I lost my wallet, I'm no longer able to. Don't let anything else come through." Basically, I don't think she did that. No one does except Robin. I'm just saying, nobody believes that. And I feel bad because I don't think Robin's an idiot. I think she understands what's going on. I think she's been to this part of the zoo before and she understands how these animals act and how they behave. Um, but she put herself in this situation by going behind that paywall with her bestie. And honestly, I really think Gizelle hyped her up to go on the paywall because Gizelle's gonna get paid too. So Gizelle doesn't care that her getting paid is about Robin telling a humiliating, unbelievable story about Juan and some mistress lady. Gizelle doesn't care because, like I said, Gizelle isn't anyone's friend either. I would not have had my friend do that, especially if my husband gave me that story. It's not a believable story. Men just don't do that. I mean, there are some good people in the world, but he didn't have to get out his bed to do it. Let's be clear. He could have called the hotel and gave them his hotel. I mean, his credit card, right? How do we know that? Because all of us that book trips, that's exactly how you book it. You book it on the internet, you book it with your agent or whatever. You don't go down to Travelocity. You don't go down to the Hyatt Regency. You don't go down to where Zaza Hotel or the Ritz Car, wherever. You don't go down there first. You book it on the phone or online. That's how you book it. So they already have a way to, and they're gonna hold a certain amount anyway, just like renting a car. So stop it. Um, so then again, like I said, they talk about it. He's telling his side of the story that no one believes except Robin. Um, and then they move on to, let me see, what's the next season? I'm sorry, not the next season, the next scene. And I will say this: what really bothered me about that scene and really showed me that Juan doesn't care about this lady, not even an ounce, because unless they cut it out, the first thing Juan should have said, if he, especially because he knew that his wife is out here getting dragged for filth for months. She possibly was put in a position where she was going to lose her job. And it's all because of some stuff he allegedly has done, right? So to me, if you care about this lady that you just remarried, wouldn't your first words be, "I'm sorry, I apologize, I made the worst mistake. I shouldn't have been a thing that you did first, even before the season started. You should have came out. Andy, I need to be on the show. I'm gonna tell you what happened. My wife had nothing to do with this. I was being an idiot, whatever." He still hasn't done that. Why? Because Robin doesn't set any standards for this man. So it's like, and I hate to say it this way, but it's sort of like having no rules but having children. If you let humans at all, grown or little, really, just do their own thing, they're never going to go to work and be on time. They're never going to finish their project. They're never going to actually do what they're supposed to do. You have to have a punishment. You have to have some accountability for the behavior, especially if they don't change it. But again, we're talking about Robin. And I actually don't hate Robin. I don't. I just don't think she's smarter than a fifth grader. Sorry, Robin. I don't. And only because, sis, you keep making these unbelievable statements. Nobody can believe this stuff. But anyways, I understand, girl. You out there trying to just save your husband. Um, the other thing is, Robin wants the world to believe that Juan is innocent, and it's like, stop it. Nobody believes that. She also said something to Juan that I didn't like about, you know, the lady being unattractive or fat or something like that. And I'm like, first of all, be very clear. There's a whole bunch of unattractive married people. There's a whole bunch of unattractive side pieces of jump offs or whatever you want to call it. There's a whole bunch of ugly married people. Let's be very clear. Just because you're someone proposes to you does not make you beautiful. Just because you're out here dating doesn't make you beautiful, handsome, sexy. None of those things. That doesn't qualify. Plus, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So what you think is beautiful is very subjective. It's like art. Who can tell you what's beautiful? Nobody can tell Mr. Gucci what's beautiful and how much he should charge for his Gucci glasses or shoes or whatever. Nobody can. He is the determiner of it. Beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. Just saying. Like me in this wig right now. We having a hard time. We are. I don't care though. Anyways, so yeah, that kind of irritated me. Um, so I talked a lot about Juan and Robin. Um, Okay, so then there's a scene where Wendy, Candace, and Karen are meeting at a restaurant. And they're all looking fabulous and everything. I love me some Karen. I did not like Karen at the beginning because I couldn't stand her in season one and Charisse. I couldn't stand either of them. I don't like people who are elitist. And I didn't know at the time that the show that they were thinking they were filming was about like etiquette. Kind of like that fake Luann de Lesseps etiquette book thing where it's like you're going to pretend that, you're this person and, it's just like that fake and phony bullshit. Um, I didn't realize that. I thought they were just any other new, you know, Housewives franchise. So I was thinking, who are these people? And they acting like they're so sedity because they live in DC or Potomac or whatever. I'm like, I've been to DC. It's not that great. I love that, the historic of it all. It is very, that part is very kind of jarring if you've never been there before. It's like, oh my God, look at this monument and stuff like that. And there's a lot of wealth, a lot of power in DC. But I didn't like that whole, if you don't know, if I don't know who you are, then you're not anyone to know. It's just like, girl, stop. I cannot with that. And the whole, to get in our group and you have to do this, that, and the other. It's like, shut up. Again, I don't like elitist people. I like fine shit. I like 5-star hotels and room service. I like Chanel and Gucci and Louis Vuitton and all that. I love all of those things. But wearing it and having it on my body does not make me feel like I'm better than anyone. That's where I'm at. Um, and to me, if it does make you feel better than other people, then you probably have low self esteem. I'm just saying. Um, okay, so that's the reason I didn't really like Karen and Sharice. I didn't like that. So once I realized, oh, they were filming that type of show, or at least that's what they were under the impression, and it's not like Atlanta or Orange County where you're just following around these housewives who supposedly have all this wealth and privilege and they're going on fancy trips on private jets and wearing Balmain and Chanel and all that. That's what I thought Potomac was doing, but they weren't. And so that's why like the first two seasons didn't really make sense to me. Um, but now Karen has had her glow up and her wigs are sitting sideways. Okay, like her wigs are together. She has clearly a glam team, and sis is giving body for days. And I do think because she has lost her parents, um, she feels more freedom because I like that she had reverence for her parents, meaning I'm going to honor my parents. I'm not going to go on TV and make a fool of myself and embarrass them. I want them to feel good when they're in a room with other people and talking about me. And so I like that. I respect that. Um, and I do respect the fact that Karen can. I don't agree with everything Karen says, but you can tell. If you go back and you watch the seasons, and even like this season, you can tell that she has a heart, like legitimately, even if she doesn't like Giselle. When Giselle came to her about some other stuff in another episode, it was just kind of like, okay, I get it. I won't mention that anymore. I respect that. Even when Giselle came to her last season and said the whole Chris situation, she didn't judge her. I mean, from what we could see from how they edited it, it seemed like she asked the right questions. Like, well, what did he say? What did he do? She didn't jump to conclusions on anybody's part. And I like that, And her and Giselle have fallen out however many times, right? Same thing with Candace. Her and Candace, I feel like she was on the wrong side of it because I don't think she should have. I think she should have said Candace was wrong and Monique was wrong, but I think she should have said to Candace, "Listen, she should never have put her hands on you." And I will tell the world that because that's what Candace needed. Candace did not need for you to still break bread with this person, and that I think still holds Candace back from being really close with Karen still to this day. And I understand why Candace feels that way, you know. Um, but she's grown on me a lot. She's grown on me, and plus her style is much better. Sis is out here body yada yada in two pieces, and I'm like, yes, sis, okay, I'm here for it. So I respect Karen at this point. And this is what's kind of weird to me. So Wendy's been on here. I think this is her third or fourth season, and now they're suddenly introducing Wendy and her um, religion. They never really talked about anyone's religion really on this show. So it's kind of interesting, but I get it now. It's like, oh, because we know all this stuff is going to pop off later with this Aneka lady. That's my dog. Stay over there. He's a whole mess. He's a princess. Listen, he he has Chewy Vuitton. That's how fancy I am. But anyways, that's like a chew toy for Christmas. Anyways, so Dr. Wendy Acefo, she takes this like rosary bead, and I don't really know nothing about Catholicism other than I've gone to their churches a few times, and you get on your knees because in the Baptist church you don't really do that. Like we yell and scream and get the Holy Ghost and all that, but you don't generally when you pray get on your knees, meaning you do it home, but not necessarily at church. And they have like these little things at the bottom. Well, this is when I was like 8 or 9 years old. Is when I went to a Catholic church, and it's like I guess so your knees don't hurt or whatever. I know that I want to say they have to go to the priest or go through the priest. Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong or right. If I am wrong, I apologize. I'm not trying to disrespect. I'm just telling what my experience was. You go to the priest and kind of confess your sins, and he's kind of like the intermediary between you and God or you and Christ or something to that effect. But all this time, I just assumed that I guess everybody's Christian unless they say otherwise. So it kind of fits with this storyline to say let's have her bring this out. So then later, when the Ineka girl says, "Oh, something about the shrine stuff that you see in like the trailer," it's kind of like it feels very produced. It's like, why is Wendy telling us she has her rosary beads? You know, it just feels very produced. And I like Wendy, and I do think Wendy is very truthful. She comes across truthful, but I don't think she should be on this show. Although I like her. I like her with her black love and her black family. I think she's very intelligent, educated. She's black excellence. What did Candace say? She's black girl magic personified. She is. The reason I think she shouldn't be on this show, she would do better on a different one maybe, is because she has to get down in the dirt with these idiots. And by idiots, you know exactly who I'm talking about. And if you don't, you're probably the idiot. I'm just saying. Um, I think she's better than this. Just like I honestly, I think Karen is, and I do think Candace is on some level. The only reason why I wouldn't say Candace 100% is because Candace is good at getting down in the dirt with the idiots. Um, Wendy is not good at it. You know, she gets her feelings hurt really easily. Candace gets her feelings hurt really easily, but she's also gonna bring her weapon too. Let's be very clear. And you're gonna get, she's gonna dead you with her. Stop me when I'm wrong. Find the lie. And I think I think it wouldn't with Candace. I just think it's a better fit for her. That's the only thing I could really say. Plus, I do think Candace is using this in the right way. I don't think Dr. Osefo is because I feel like instead of elevating her, it's kind of bringing her down, and that's why I think she shouldn't be on this show. But I like her. I like her family. I like her mom and all that. I love the kids and her husband and all that. I like that she wants to be an entrepreneur. I love all of that. But I just think what has happened to her on this show, it's not a good look. Um, and it's unfortunately beneath her, in my opinion. The reason I say Candace should stay and is good for the reasons I said before, but also because um, Candace is using this platform properly. She is. No matter what you think about Candace, you can say she's this and that, she talks too much, or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, she's building an empire. Now, whether or not her empire is going to crumble is to be seen, but she's definitely building one. She's out here singing. She's out here acting. She got another season of whatever that show she's on. I'm gonna figure it out, and then next time, we'll probably talk about it. Um, but I just have too many shows to watch already. But I like to support people because I'm a Leo and I like to be supported. But so she's using it the right way, and she's still gathering these big. I'm just saying, she's beautiful. She has a whole husband that knows how to cook, and they seem to have a good like relationship. I do hope she has a baby soon because I know that's really something that's bothering her, and I also hope her and her mom can get it together. Because Lord Jesus. Okay, moving on. So like I said, they're sitting there discussing. They're mad about the fact that they all feel the same way about what happened with Robin, using allowing. Because I can't say Robin used it. I don't know that to be true, but I will say she certainly didn't bring it to the forefront. So she allowed, knowing that she had this other situation that had supposedly been, you know, cleaned up, and her husband moved past. But that whole infidelity she knew had been going on prior to filming. And but while they were filming, she said not one word about it. And that's why Candace and Karen and Wendy Osefo and probably everybody on the show and most of the people, I would say, reasonable people who watch the show would say you let that be told and come to the forefront, because then you wouldn't have to talk about yours. And I hope that's, I don't know that I know that Robin deliberately did that. I want to believe she didn't deliberately do it, but I don't think that she didn't say, let's talk about this. I would say she intentionally didn't bring any of her stuff up, but I don't think she said, I'm not going to bring it up because we're going to focus on Candace and the dissolution of, Chris. I don't believe that. Even though I don't like how Robin has been moving in the past 2 years, I still don't think that's her. I think that's Giselle. And I think Giselle is really good at being like a little messenger into Robin's head. Because if you notice, even now, everything with Giselle is, well, I'm not going to be in the room with that person anymore. I don't want to talk. She basically likes to ice people out, like they did with Wendy last season. And it wasn't even Wendy had done anything to Giselle other than she dated her. She read Giselle from head to toe at that lake house scene. She read it from head to toe. She said, I know right now why everybody has ever said everything they've said about you to be true, because this is the type of person you are. You're going to come out here and say, bring up fake allegations about my husband and try to destroy me and my marriage and my husband and his reputation and my family. It ain't cool. So then Giselle does this whole, I'm just going to let's ice Wendy out because she got into an argument with Mia. And then Mia did something to Wendy. Mia attacked Wendy, but we're icing out Wendy? Girl, stop. Okay? Don't even get me started on that rabbit hole. But that's the same thing she did to Mia, which I don't think, cry me a river for Mia. Mia is not a damsel in distress. She's not a fawn in the woods. She's nobody's victim. Um, so on that trip they went to Miami, it should have never happened, but you saw exactly the makings of what we're gonna ice somebody out looks like. And so now I feel like that's what Giselle is doing, or has always been doing really with Robin. But she's certainly right now doing the whole, we don't need to involve Candace. Let's not say Candace's name. Let's just not bring her up. And then therefore, if we don't film with her, we don't talk to her, then maybe the fans will be like, why is she even here? Maybe the fans will forget about her. I think that's hard, Giselle. I don't think the viewers are gonna forget about Candace, because just like you're very thought provoking because of how annoying you are and how mean spirited you are and how super subjective you are and biased, and I think on some level colorist. I won't say you're intentionally a colorist, but you definitely dabble in colorist benefits. You benefit from it. Like people benefit from racism, you definitely benefit from it. You do. Um so let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Uh, what else did they really kind of have going on? Hmm. Anything else interesting? They talked a little bit about Juan and how come he got terminated from that school that he was a basketball. What was he? A basketball coach? I still feel bad for that young man that allegedly all that stuff happened to. I really feel bad for him because I believe it. And like I said, I've worked with children and families. I've worked with people who have been SA'd, victims of that. I've worked with every type of victim that you could think about in my career, and so I believe it. It's an inconvenient truth. And it's unfortunate that so many people will sit on the internet the moment, especially with black women, the moment a woman or a woman claims that she's been SA'd or harassed or anything like that, especially if it was years ago, if she's been art or molested, not we, meaning me, people like me, but I think our public has been conditioned in a very toxic way to question it. Why didn't she say something? Why did she wait all these years? If it really happened, why would you wait? Wouldn't you tell someone immediately? And I say to those people, how dare you? I do. And the reason I say that is because have a little bit of humility, have a little bit of grace for people, especially when you don't know the story. It's you do better listening. It helps with comprehension and understanding when you listen rather than rebuttal. Listen for understanding rather than to rebuttal. Because what do you get out of lying, one, that someone assaulted you in some way, SA'd you in some way? What really do you get out of it? And I know there are going to be those thousands of people, and you can say whatever in the comments. I don't care. Um, that, they'll say, oh, well, she's clout chasing, or she wants a moment, or she wants some money, or this, that, and the third. There's a very small percentage of people who lie about SA. There just is. Most people who get SA don't even report it. And statistically, 1 in 4 women will be SA'd in their life. I don't know how many people are watching this, but if there's 5 people in your house and 4 of them are female, one of y'all has been. And it's, in my opinion, just on my anecdote, probably everybody has been. Whether or not they say it or not is a different story. And that happens, I think, a lot with men too. It's just underreported because that's just my own sidebar personal opinion. I think it's underreported for males because there's I think, even higher level of embarrassment for men because then there's this, because people still feel like if you're gay, something's wrong with you or whatever the case may be. Um, but it's like this, oh well, if he was assaulted in this way or SA'd in this way, he must now be gay or something like that. And if you're a straight guy, you don't want to be seen that way because that's not who you are. And so again, people don't want to. It's embarrassing, not the quote unquote gay part, but that could be a component of it. But it's who wants to talk about something like that. And then also too, that's trauma. And like I said, for all the people in the comments, you're not in charge of someone else's trauma, right? So all these people are like, oh, you should be over it, you need to move on, and this, that, and the third. Just because trauma happens does not necessarily mean you're going to walk around as a victim every day. That's not what it means. It does mean that you will get triggered. What happens is if you get help or therapy or something like that, you learn coping skills. You learn how to cope with it when you are triggered. So you could be watching a movie, get triggered. You could smell someone that smells like that person, you get triggered. You know, and also a lot of people say, well, why don't victims speak up, this and the third? So if you're the victim and you're living in a house with a perpetrator, you're gonna speak up. That perpetrator might have your mom's ear. Your mom might be the person that doesn't believe you anyway, or didn't believe you last time. So who are you telling? You tell the school nurse, and they tell someone, they call CPS. Now you're in trouble because they ain't gonna take you away unless there's imminent danger, and a judge has to sign off on it. At least here in Texas, you don't get to just take people's children without a judge signing off on it. Now, if you're in imminent danger, they can remove your children because of the danger. Legally, they have to. Um, doesn't mean they have to put you in custody. They could put you with the sister or auntie or grandma or whomever, neighbor. They could do that, but if they want to take custody, they're going to have to get a judge to sign off on it. So that's why I said that. But so you tell the nurse calls the parents, they explain, this is what we're going to have to call in this case, this and the third, and in front of the nurse and the school people, yeah, they're going to be nice and they're going to get home, and that might be a different story. I hope it wouldn't be, but sometimes it is. A lot of times it is. So now the child or the victim has changed her story. And then you got all the people, oh, she retracted what she said. Well, yeah, because she went home and maybe got beat up, or went home and was starved, or went home and was mistreated, and now the guy didn't left, and whatever, and mom is blaming you. I'm not saying this is what happened, but I'm saying these are things that happen, and it's unfortunate. So that's why people should just shut up. If it isn't you that it happened to, then just be quiet. Just say, you know what, let's. I can't say one way or the other. I hope this didn't happen. I'm praying that it didn't happen, but if it did, let the process play out. I'm not saying you need to blame someone or you need to say someone is a victim or not. I'm always going to have my stance, but I'm just saying if you're going to say something to the victim, trying to pick them apart isn't the way. It just makes them, it's like re victimizing someone. But anyway, I'm going to get off that story. So, anyways, what else was I going to say? Oh, I think I was talking about the Canada lady again. Um, so now, um, I guess I'll go to the last scene of this episode where it's kind of like an intervention, and so Giselle has it at her house that everybody's talking about because they are like, "Girl, when is your house gonna be fixed?" I don't even understand. Like, I do understand that real estate in DC is very expensive. I remember going there when I was like 19 or 20. It was like my first job, and I was some sort of PR liaison, but I was taking young adults who I was kind of mentoring down to DC to kind of understand like the political process and meet with like legislators to how they could effectively spark some sort of change in the foster care system. So that's why we were there. But I remember we went on some sort of tour of DC, and it was like they were telling us about, oh, those homes over there, how much do you think they cost? And I'm over here thinking like, oh, because this is way back in 2023. No, 2003. Sorry. So this is like literally 20 years ago. Um, and I remember they were like, "Oh, how much does this house cost?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, I grew up in a house that was like 6 bedroom in the suburbs, and I think our house, maybe when my mom bought it, was probably like I don't know, 150, 160 at the time. Houses now are way different. Like it's a whole hot mess. Like my house, the cost of my house when I purchased it in 2005, when we purchased it in 2005, is like triple in terms of value what I could sell it for. But anyways, I remember riding on that bus. It was like a tour, and they were like, "Oh, that house over there," which looked like my current house. It was like 782,000. I was like, "Ah, what do you mean? This house is almost $1 million. What is happening?" And again, that's back in 2005. It's a whole different ballgame now. Because those homes that were like almost $1 million in, they have to be like 8 million or something crazy like that at this point. Um, So again, I don't know what's happening with Giselle and her house. So I understand why her house would probably just the property might cost $1 million, even though she's still not. From what I understand, nobody actually lives in Potomac except maybe Karen. So I don't know, but Giselle said something about I think when she was like gonna remodel that house, it almost cost like $1 million or something just for like the house and the land, and it was terrible. She's done some improvements, but I still wouldn't want to live there. I mean, take me to the chateau with Chateau Chiret, okay? Or Chateau She Can't Pay or whatever. I still can somebody put in the comments because I still would like to know that how is it that Sheree is still in that house? I want to know because they say she wrote a book. I don't understand how sis is in that house. I want somebody to help me understand because I don't understand. Because here's the thing, and I'm not even good at math, but my light bill in my house in the South, that's not even a fourth. Okay, I live in a 4 bedroom house. Okay, in the South in Houston. Um, it's not even a fourth of Sheree's house, and my light bill right now it's cold outside, so it's probably not as expensive. But let's just say in August or September, it's like $500 a month, $400 a month for me and my husband and my dog Bentley. Of course, his name is Bentley because I want to buy a Bentley. My husband wouldn't buy me one, so that's why I have to name my dog Bentley. Anywho, so I don't know how she pays for that house, but that's where I would want to live if I lived in Atlanta with the chateau. Um, But anyway, so they go to Giselle's house, and Giselle is basically kind of grilling Robin about her situation with Juan. She talks about, the lady in Canada and how things don't make sense and how she's a beautiful lady, and they want to support her. She kind of pokes holes a little bit. I think obviously Robin has given her certain things she cannot say. I think that's my opinion. Like, because if that's your friend and you gotta talk about it on camera, you're gonna just want to make sure that there's some parameters that that person stays within that doesn't get out. Because once it's on film, they reserve the right to do whatever with your likeness because you've signed off on it. Let's be very clear, okay? So they talk about it, and I feel like they, in so many words, were trying to say as nice as they could, like, stop being an idiot. But I mean, let's be clear. Juan said what, season one on that hot mic, or maybe it was season two. He was like, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for the children. Like so he's already, to me, when you say that, especially you haven't said it to our family members or somebody that would probably keep the secret, you're talking to a producer. Which I get, you can grow and respect and have a relationship with a producer, but this is season one, so y'all not friends yet. Not like that, in my opinion. But you're trusting them enough to say, hey, you know what? If I'm only here for the kids, that's the reason that I'm here. To me, that was his way. That was Juan's way of saying, listen, move on. I think they worked through it, and I think on some level, most of us as an audience, I think, we just kind of felt bad for her. So it was always like every season, you're like, when are y'all gonna get married? When is he gonna treat her right? But you listen, stop letting men tell you they don't want you. Just saying. And it doesn't have to be verbal. Him not calling you back. No, what do they call it? No answer is an answer. No response is the response. Believe it. Okay? People shouldn't go 4 or 5 days without speaking to you if y'all have that type of relationship. Like if your relationship is y'all talk every day or every few days, especially if that's that if this is your spouse, you should not go a day without speaking to them. I don't care where they are, unless wherever they are is in the middle of the jungle somewhere and they don't have access to some sort of sat phone. You want to know where your loved one is. I would. My husband travels abroad and stays in nice hotels in different countries in Asia and Europe and stuff like that. And he's gonna call me every day, even though our hours are 12 hours apart and whatever. We're gonna talk. We're gonna email. We're gonna text. We're gonna FaceTime. We're gonna be in. Listen, because he cares. Because I care. I want to know where you are, what you're doing. You're okay. How was your day? That type of thing. I'm not talking about being a bugaboo. I'm saying the person that says that they care about you, that you're letting into your life in a very intimate way, should respond to you. That's all I'm saying. You shouldn't have to beg for it. So they're basically telling Robin. I mean, Ashley said since season one, your girl, he been out here in these streets since season one, which is another again. That lady ain't your friend. How is she your friend or your mom? I don't get it, Robin. That lady been saying since season one that one don't want you. But anyway, I digress. Um, I feel like Robin is like, she's saying like people stole my joy and this, that, and the other, even though she doesn't. Let me get this out. She doesn't care about anything that we're saying, but I'll give her this. She's trying very hard. Cause let me be fair, okay? The fair part of me says, if I'm Robin, I would feel away. And because of who I am, I probably wouldn't want to be vulnerable in front of the world with this type of circumstance. Because I'm private, anyways, right? So I'm a Leo. You're going to see my best. I'm not a person that's going to let everybody into my personal life in that way. It's just not something that I subscribe to, but I'm not an idiot. Okay? Don't get it twisted. And I'm not above being honest about, whatever's going on in my life, provided that it is going to be meaningful and helpful in someone else's life. Right? I'm not going to just come out and say, oh, here are all my woes. These are all my past discretions and whatever, past mistakes. But if it is something that I feel like can help someone, I would certainly share, So I'm not saying that Robin should come out here and say, yes, one did all this to me and I'm an idiot and I'm stupid and I let this man walk all over me. I'm not saying that's unreasonable to ask somebody to do. And Robin is very happy. She's committed to being in her relationship with Juan. She's committed to her life that she wants with him, period. And so once you realize that someone is not about to leave, and listen, I've learned this. Me, the old old married lady, is listen, people are aware of their effed up relationships. So they don't need you to tell them that they're in an effed up relationship. They're very clear that they are. Let's be clear. Okay? Even your young 15-year-old niece knows that whatever that idiot is that she's dating, that's like the whatever on the football team or whatever popular boy at the school, she knows he's treating her badly. She knows. You don't have to tell her. You do have to warn her about things. You can't bring it up, but I'm telling you, people know. So you don't need to tell them. If you're their friend, their loved one, just be there for them. Just say, listen, if you ever need me, I'm here. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. If they ask your opinion, it's probably not a good idea to give it. You can give it if you want to. And most of us, I think, on some level do, because you want to hope that your opinion can change something in their mind or make them think about things differently. But a lot of times I tell people, use your Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. Do it. Remain silent, even in friendships and relationships, because people who love you still will turn on you because you've said something negative about their loved one, their baby daddy, their boyfriend, their husband, whomever. Now you can't come to the house, okay? Because you call yourself trying to help sis. Just don't do that to yourself. Just use your Miranda rights. I've had so many friends where this is when I'm young, like 20, 21 years old, whatever, and I'm like, yeah, girl, you shouldn't be dealing with it because I'm in a perfect relationship, right? Well, I did marry him and we have been together for 23 years, but I digress. Um, but it's just BS that I wouldn't have never put up with from the beginning because your relationship is the way it is because you set it up that way. So if it's like being in a having a bully you, the only reason the bully is going to continue to bully you is because you allow it. So it's no different in any other relationship. So the only reason a man's going to continuously cheat or a woman's going to continuously cheat or be disrespectful or don't care about you or whatever the case may be, mistreat you, is because you allow it. That being said, if you come from a family where that's what you've been shown, or you come from a family where you didn't really get shown anything, everybody seemed like they were perfect, you don't really know, you know? Um, or you just sometimes fall in love, and a lot of times people think they can change people. You can't. People barely listen. For all the people who do read the Bible, who love God, whatever, God gave us a whole book of instructions of things to do and things not to do, and we don't even people don't even listen to God. I'm just saying. So they don't even change for God. So they gonna change for you? No, they're not changing. Cause what did my friend E say? Cause what she say? If it can get wet, the man will get stiff and follow. Let's be clear. So he don't even have no control. So I'm just saying, don't buy into this idea that because you her bestie, her friend, her sister, whomever, her auntie, that she's gonna listen to you. And like I said, sometimes people turn on you because you told them the truth about something. So um, just kind of gauge who your friends are, who your loved ones are, and who can take the real and who can't. Robin obviously is not one of those people. I do feel bad though that who wants the whole world telling you you're an idiot? I feel bad for her for that, even though I disagree with half the stuff she does and all the BS she puts up with. It's not okay the way that people will publicly, especially on social media, bully you. And this is the thing. I think a lot of people, some people are just mean and hateful and they just wake up and to try to tear people down. That's a whole subset of people, right? But there are others of people who aren't just straight bullies and that isn't their thing that they want to do. But they feel as though they're like me, right? I'm doing my recap. So let me tell you my opinion, right? And so they feel as though I'm gonna come on here and I'm gonna tell Robin that she needs to leave one, she's beautiful or whatever, right? What I think a lot of people don't take in consideration is there's 5 million other people who also feel that way, right? And not all of them are gonna be so nice. Some of them are gonna be very direct. Some of them are not gonna be they're gonna be rude about it. You know, they'll say things like, you're an idiot, you know, whatever, that type of stuff. There's only so much anybody can take. So for that, I feel bad. I'm sure she's humiliated with her sons. You have to be. You're a woman. What are they? What are y'all teaching him or them? Your other family and friends that are all gonna call you, message you, email you, whatever it is. They're all gonna have an opinion, and you still got to deal with the people that you're on this show that you've agreed to film with. So try to be nice, people. Okay, be nice in the comments. And let me say this, people who are, using tons of profanity or being super disrespectful or anything like that, especially towards other people in the chat, that's all gonna, you're gonna get it, it's gonna get eliminated. I'll take it out of there because we nice over here, okay? We can be truthful, but you can't be, you need to be respectful. We have to respect everybody. So don't tell people to shut the F up or refer to their color, their hair, just don't be disrespectful of people's religion or beliefs or whatever, right? Um, but anyways, at some point, Ashley talks about, how she was, ignored and made excuses. And I was like, who is this person that got in Ashley's body? She's admitting that something's wrong and she's not out here just being messy, like per usual. But it's just very rich to me because Ashley has been the ringleader for years about Juan and his indiscretions, allegedly, right? Um, but Ashley talks about how she ignored the things with her husband and how she didn't want to say it and she defended him. And then at some point, Charisse, she gets emotional about it because she sees herself. She sees what she was dealing with, trying to hold on to a marriage. These are her words, in part. I'm paraphrasing, but in part, she's saying, I see myself in you, or I see what you're doing in myself. I was that person because I want to protect this man. And now, on some level, she said something to the effect of, like, I was so busy, like, protecting him. And she was saying something to Robin because Robin made some sort of comment about these ugly girls and this, that, and the third, as if Juan wouldn't cheat on her because the girl's ugly. Like, Sharice shut all of that down. Sharice was like, "Listen, girl, it's some booger wolves out here that he was knocking them down." That's what Sharice said, allegedly, or in part, or was alluding to. And she's right. Listen, what did my friend E say? All it takes is if it could get wet, a penis will get stiff and follow. It's just true. So, um, a hole is a hole in the dark. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So Sharice was getting emotional because it's triggering. It's kind of like what I said earlier about how you can't decide how long someone should grieve, because anytime that person gets triggered, they're gonna feel away. They have to just figure out what the feeling is that they want to have happen. What do they want their response to be, right? So Sharice starts crying, and because she understands it, she also, I think, on some level, has the wisdom to say, I see exactly what you're doing, and you're going down the wrong road. It may work out. I think even Sharice believes it will work out. She wants to because that's her friend, right? But I don't think it's gonna work out. I don't think he's gonna change. I think it'll be a few more years. They'll have their kids. The kids will graduate, and then they really will have nothing to do. I hate that for her, but it's just the truth. That's just how I see it. So, Robin, I can't remember if she tears up a little bit or not, but I do think she gets a little emotional about it. Um, and they kind of end it. Now, here's my thing. Like I said, it really kind of bothered me that Giselle is kind of putting on her friend hat, and I'm like, girl, you are nobody's friend. She really isn't. She isn't. Because if you can stop, well, this I will say, I will give this to Giselle. She does apologize to the people who she actually, I think, feels like she wants to keep in her life. So although Karen will put Giselle on ice in a hot minute, okay, she will do it real quick. She will come back. Giselle will come back and say, I'm sorry. Like she baked those cookies that one year. She's apologized. I feel like she's apologized to Karen probably the most. I don't know if she apologized. I know she's apologized to Sharice, and I feel like to Robin at some point about something. And probably even Ashley at least once. I'm trying to remember. She did apologize to Chris about that whole witch. Don't get me started. Um, she will apologize, and to be, I can't stand Giselle for 1,000 reasons, for obvious reasons. But I really do hope, it's the social worker in me. I really do hope that she can figure it out with Wendy, because I do think Wendy looked at her as an actual friend. I really hope, because I think, honest to God, this is my opinion. I really do think, even with Candace, I think if Giselle now came and said, listen, can I have an hour with you guys? Even 30 minutes. Come to their home or to a dinner, somewhere where they can't say something, whatever. Film it and just say, listen, Giselle, if you watching, sis, come to the front. Listen, come to the front. This is how you apologize, okay? To someone like Candace and Wendy. You say, hey, listen, don't do it together, but do it separately. Hey, Candace, and Chris. I am not going to denounce how I felt because that is gaslighting to tell somebody that they can't feel away. Scratch that part. I'm saying to the audience, when you tell someone that they didn't feel away or they can't feel away, that's gaslighting. You can't tell people how to feel. But I will say this. This is what I would say if I was her and I was speaking to Candace and Chris. Listen, I apologize that I said it on camera because it is something that I could have said off camera. It is. You know, I was triggered by some of the other things that I was hearing from other people on the cast and some things I've heard in the past. Um, I apologize for contributing to everything that happened after that. Meaning, I could have just said, you know what, this did happen to me. I did feel away, but I don't want anyone to get it twisted. I didn't do that. And I owed you guys that. I owed you guys to come in front of the camera and say, listen, this man didn't do anything to me. I felt a way being around him in the environment that we were in. That's how I felt. But it isn't because he did something. It's just how I felt. You know, it's different. It would be different if, like, what did Karen say? Did he touch you? Did he say something? He didn't do any of those things. I think Candace asked the same exact thing. So, although he's the person that's making you feel away, it isn't something he is intentionally or unintentionally doing. It is just something that is happening for Gizelle. It's something that happened for her. So she could just say that and just say, you know what, I apologize for all of the blowback. I apologize for everything that whatever it is that happened as a result of that. I'm sorry, and I will never do that again. I do believe in my heart Chris will forgive her. I believe Chris has already moved on because I think he can forgive a lot quicker than Candace, in my opinion. Um, and I do think Candace would receive it. I think she would cry and they would boo-hoo, and Candace still would never trust her. But I do think she would receive it. I do. I think it would be also a great idea to have Karen there because I do think Karen would be able to facilitate it only because Karen and Gizelle are friends outside of this camera. I also think if she went to Wendy and said, hey, listen, I know it was something in the blog, I brought it up. I shouldn't have because I knew what would happen. But I didn't think that, I really didn't think that it would blow up the way that it did. Because although I think Gizelle meant everything, especially after that, I don't think I think Gizelle thought I'm gonna bring this up and I'm gonna say about her getting her boobs and whatever else. But I think she thought, well, Wendy's big enough and smart enough and whatever enough to kind of just be like, girl, I got this done for me. Me and my husband are good, and just shrug it off. I think that's what she thought would happen. But then she would still earn her check for being messy. But it didn't. It didn't work that way. And I'm glad that Wendy Elstefo did it her that day from head to toe. I am. Because don't try me or my husband. And like she said, this is my husband's reputation. Forget about me. This is my husband's reputation. Don't do that. He don't have nothing to do with you. Nothing. He's been nothing but nice. And don't do that. So I understand because I'm married. I've been married for 20 years now. So don't do that. We all going to jail today. Okay? Don't do it. I'm not the one. But that's the episode, guys. Like I said, get down in the comments. Let me know your opinions. Be nice to everybody. And tune in. I don't know how often I'm going to do these videos. It's probably going to be weekly after each episode, maybe a day or two, but I'll figure that out and I'll put it in the description. But again, tune in to Chanel's World. I'm not Chanel's World. Ooh. Tune in to Chanel's Reality. I was thinking about Sherelle's World. That's the thing that populated in my head. But Chanel's Reality. I'll probably be putting videos up every other day, if not every day. Love you guys for being a part of my platform. Have a good rest of your day.